Good morning, people of the internet. You're listening to Debi Radio 79.5 FM, a podcast where we discuss the movie Grosse Pointe Blank 1 minute at a time. I'm your co-host, Hugh.
And I'm Dev, and on today's show, we're going to be looking at minute 104 of the movie. 104?
We're almost there, people.
We are. We get a little bit of B-roll of Jefferson Boulevard, or Jefferson Avenue, once again. And then we are straight into the first of several minutes of credits. I think the credits are as long as the big finale action sequence.
So, joining us today, as she has been all this week for the second time around. Catch you later. How you doing?
Good. I mean, except for that knee injury.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Dev's workplace is a hazardous one. You need to sue.
It is. Yeah. It is not OSHA compliant. That is for sure.
Dang, I'm out, guys.
I didn't realize OSHA had oversight over home offices now.
Who knows?
Let's not find out.
What is the UK version of health and safety? I forget.
It's called health and safety.
No, it's just how uninspired.
Actually, there is a. I mean, that's what the role is called. The law, the agency in charge of it. There is a specific name for it, and I actually learned that the other year because it's to do with the type of policies that you have to have in place, and it's named after the brand and or whatever you want to call it. It's like what's the thing you guys have in business where you have standards that indicate that, you know, like if your project manager takes them, then they're reaching certain basic standards of compliance in how to do office.
Well, OSHA is for health and safety in the US.
Yeah, but there's a similar thing over here. But it's like it reminds me of this thing that Kim said all officers have for people who do management stuff, and it's just a standard. And basically, as long as you're qualified in that standard, you can speak to H&S. But yeah, no, we have a department for that. Basically, our HR department handles it, and then we have a compliance guy who handles it. So together, the compliance guy is the one who literally comes in the room and checks what it is that you've complained about that's affecting you, and then HR do all the tracking. And the third part of that triumvirate in England is the occupational health people, who are always separated out from your institution so that they're the medically based ones, and they can make sure that you are not just pulling a fast one.
Right.
Yeah,
I can tell you it actually hurts. My knee actually hurts.
I'm so sorry, Kat. I'm so sorry that you're going to walk away with a memory of this podcast that, not as bad as Martin Hugh Blank's injuries, but nevertheless painful enough.
Yeah.
What did you get out of this? Well, a sore throat and a limp.
Yeah.
and no fun either. I mean, that was just not for any good reason. Oh dear. Right, so as we hit this minute, we have Debbie still giving us her outro which is also the recorded last program presumably she's doing for Debi Radio. Feels kind of appropriate. And and we are back on that stock shot footage? I mean,
this isn't stock, right? Because it's
no, it's not. It's
but it's second unit for sure.
That's
right?
it. I mean, it's clearly two people in the car. Whereas the last time we saw this angle, I don't know. Is that the same shot they used for Paul and Martin?
I don't think they did a zoomed out for Paul and Martin. They never went far.
So this is actually meant to be them.
Yeah, what we saw was another shot going in the opposite direction along.
That's what I thought.
But that was of the Lincoln Town Car, right? So it was kind of tinted-y windows. You couldn't really see anything, just the car driving along. But it does... I mean, this one, I think, makes it pretty clear that they did actually have some unit go and shoot this, because that is very definitely a convertible Saab to match the, the requirements of, the end sequence to match with what Martin and Debbie are driving.
Yeah. Cool. So, what do we think of her last words then to the audience, to her audience as well as our audience?
Sorry, we had talked about this when I was here before. I had said I was being somewhat sarcastic, but that this could also be like a slice of life, just because you are taking one piece. And I think Hugh, you commented on that they're not going to live happily ever after. That's not what's about to happen.
No, that's not how this ends. Yeah.
And then I was thinking about that, and then I was thinking about, and tell me if I'm wrong, he doesn't, Martin Blank doesn't mention any other women in like, he's Debbie driven. And so she
Yeah,
doesn't,
she had a
yeah,
husband, but he
yeah.
good point.
And so she didn't have to ever compete with another woman, but she will, even with this ending, she will have to compete with his job and with everything that comes with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the implication is that he's intending to get out of the job, right?
Right.
And the office has been
one last job film.
But like realistically, how do you get out of this life, right?
You
like,
don't.
It's kind of like you're once you're in it. Like, there's no elegant exit, right? Like it's prison or 6 feet under, pretty much. And so I think that's kind of, that's why it's going to end badly. And
right, because I think he can stop doing what he's decided to stop doing, but there's a whole structure that happened around him that is still going to be coming for him. This could be a TV show, and every week you would have another thing, and Debbie would suffer.
Yeah,
that's what would happen.
Yeah,
but also there'd be a really good soundtrack. So
yeah,
a little redemption.
Yeah,
true that.
Super tragedy, but good music. It's Thelma and Louise all over again.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and then we fade to black and are cutting to the opening ad units, to the opening credits. Oh man, work intervening with life. And all of this, of course, to the Violent Femmes.
Yes. Again. Blister in the Sun.
Yeah,
which is Martin Blank's song, according
pretty
to
much,
exactly.
Isn't it? It's the theme song for the film, right? Basically.
I think it comes in on him.
It comes in on him going into town, and it comes. So maybe it's the theme tune of Grosse Pointe, Michigan, or of Martin Blank. It's one or the other.
I don't know. When I'm out walking, I strut my stuff, and I'm so strung out. Yeah, it's Martin. Just say
That's a good point. Yeah.
A little bit that.
It feels a bit odd that the first things we see on the credits are the associate producers. I don't know if it's just me. That feels like oddly ordered.
So modern tradition is that you start, with cast or possibly with the director credit, right?
Right.
Directed by,
right,
and then possibly a producer credit if they are sufficiently senior. But this is unusual. You don't see this much anymore. I mean, over the years, I've seen some really weird, random ones on indie films because they're indie, and some people know to argue for something in their contract, and others forget, and then they're like, "Oh my god, I should have done that." But with this, it does seem it's odd. It's odd. I do wonder how much of that is because one of them is the brother, I think, of the director.
Oh,
that's what it is. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was. Yeah, it looks like brother. Yeah,
because I seem to remember long ago when we started this podcast.
Right. Son of George Armitage.
Son, that's it. We looked this up because he was because he's quite integral to getting the films made.
Yeah,
that's right.
Bill.
Yeah. So we've got Bill Cusack in here as well. So yeah, obviously, John and Joan and Anne Cusack as Amy. And then Bill Cusack, who plays he's credited as a waiter, and I'm assuming that's one of the bartenders at the reunion.
Okay.
Because I'm pretty sure he's not the waitress in the diner, and I can't think of anyone else who qualifies as a waiter in this.
Oh yeah.
I want to know if Bill is a sibling. Is Bill like a cousin?
Oh yeah, sibling. Yeah,
oh.
I'm pretty sure. And does, I think, have other acting credits, but not a huge number compared to, obviously, the other three.
Big family.
Indeed, yeah.
Talented family.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Very.
He is... the synopsis literally describes him as John Cusack's brother, which must be a depressing way of having your life described.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think this was like a lot of the casting here was like very intentional kind of like friends and family kind of driven, right? With Steve Pink and DVD Vincentis and
Jeremy Piven.
It
felt very handpicked.
Yeah.
Like, I want to work with these guys.
Yeah.
Like that.
Let's write them into the script kind of
Absolutely.
Deal.
I think that's how you get a first production done, though, isn't it? Really
true.
Beg, borrow, steal.
Yeah, and also, like, I mean, there's value in that because you know what you're dealing with, right? Like, I mean, you may be missing out on the opportunities of star power and things like that, but I don't think that was ever really the primary drive of a film like this. I mean, between John Cusack and Dan Aykroyd in particular at this point in time, I think you've got a decent star power there.
Yeah.
True.
And then
but it's that kind of weird low-key star power that was working in the 90s. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know? Especially if it's like somebody you haven't seen in a while, but you remember, oh yeah, you know, I used to see them in movies all the time. What happened to them? There's a fair bit of that kind of feeling around all this sort of thing, which I kind of like. But I also, it's also been at this point, it's already been a few years of like ensembles, right? That's the other thing about the neo-noir crime revival is the number of good people cast in each and every film. You know, even the smaller films have got, even something like Red Rock West, which I adore, is got so few people actually in it. But it's Dennis Hopper, it's Nicolas Cage, it's Lara Flynn Boyle, and it's J.T. Walsh, and it's like, that's it, that's your cast, but that's all you need, you know. Usual Suspects, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, things to
LA
do in Denver when you're dead. Yeah.
Is in there somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, these are all kind of this is kind of the way films were made back then. I mean, it's you don't see it in quite the same way now. There are ensembles, but not in quite that sense. It always feels more programmed now. Like, we need to tick this box, and we need to tick that box, and we need to have that kind of person.
It makes me think of The Departed as one that also really nailed that, though. But that's not, I mean, it's more recent than this, but it's not recent.
And I think that's also like Martin Scorsese doing Martin Scorsese.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, I don't think he kind of falls into the same bucket of the movie studio and its production and its producers controlling everything. And, you know, min-maxing and number crunching to try and optimize for all of the bullet points and lose any spirit or soul or creativity, which it does unfortunately feel like is the way that a lot of films have gone in the last 10, 15 years in particular.
Yeah.
With a certain superhero franchise being a particularly prominent example of this.
I don't know what you mean by that.
No.
You know. Superheroes.
Dark Horse Comics ruining everything. Outrageous.
Dark Horse? Seriously?
Oh, you've offended you.
Go away.
Generally speaking, I'm not a huge fan of moving comics into film.
Umbrella Academy, I think, did that really well. But there also wasn't the history of Umbrella Academy. It was written and then filmed. But
that's the first thing that goes when they adapt, right? There isn't room on screen for it. You know, there's not time to explain. They don't, you know, they don't want to have to put it in flashbacks, so they just dump it and then layer it in tiny bits of dialogue. And it's like, when you know the lore, that's what's so depressing. It's seeing these things without it. Grosse Pointe Blank has weirdly got a nice comic book feel to it, you know? When you think of those like crime comics that were coming up back then, because I mean, back then, you know, people like Brian Michael Bendis and all these guys was just, you know, they were still in indie. They hadn't cracked Spider-Man and Marvel yet. They were doing black and white crime indie stuff, and it was just great fun. And there was a lot of that around. And Grosse Pointe Blank feels like it could have been one of their things. Brian Azzarello is the other guy who does this sort of thing. 100 Bullets is immense and dark as a crime epic, but I can see a more comedic take on that would look like Grosse Pointe Blank a bit.
Yeah. But I think to your point with Umbrella Academy, like, adapting to TV to a series works a little better because you can take a bit more time.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, comics are such a compact form of storytelling.
Yeah.
That it's, you know, trying to unpack that but keep it condensed to a film length is the challenge.
That's true. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, you do have more room and more time.
Right, because you're basically taking all of the descriptive text out of a novel out of the equation, because that's just shown graphically, but it's shown in stills, so a single still is several seconds worth of footage on a film screen, but you've got a ton of them and you've still got all the dialogue.
Yeah.
So all right, anybody got anything else for this final minute of the movie?
I keep expecting a name to come up on the credits that I just go, no way. I've watched it quite a few times. I'm not having the no way moment, but
except for Bill.
Bill got me the first time. Yeah.
It is kind of that weird thing where we've now, because we've done this podcast and because you've been on it before, it's kind of like, yeah, we kind of ticked the boxes, haven't we? We did all right, you know, for a long run, for a minute by minute podcast. We've done all right. We've covered a lot, you know. I mean, the next thing I want to talk about is at the start of the next minute, so I'm gonna hold off.
Yeah,
but I think I've talked about them before. So,
if you, I was watching the outro or the ending, and I was watching the houses that are along the avenue.
Oh yeah,
and in one of them, it's under reconstruction, and there's a porta potty in the front yard. That's my moment for that last shot. That's it, the porta potty in the front yard.
Ending on the porta potty.
Yeah.
There we go. Classing it up.
Yeah, all the way.
All right, well, this was minute 104 of the Grosse Pointe Blank podcast, Debi Radio 79.5 FM, featuring your host, co-writers, and co-producers, Dev Sodiger and Hugh David.
Today's guests, catch you later. Where can people find you online?
North Bay Derby and Cacciatore Reviews, where I argue with family members.
About film.
Oh yeah, about film specifically.
Yeah. It's not just the family laundry ad out on public stage.
That's a whole different podcast. Yeah.
Okay, all right. We need to
that would.
It would be so good.
Just call it like Family Feud and wait for the lawsuit. Yeah.
I mean, I think we're entertaining. I don't know. We do all have our own lawyers. That's a good place to start.
You're in the right mindset.
We needed boundaries.
Yeah, I mean, Kardashians eat your heart out.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sorry,
Are you serious though? Tell me you're joking.
I mean, I'm a little bit serious.
Okay.
I mean, I do think my family's highly entertaining. Can we afford our own lawyers? No. Do we have actual boundaries? No. Is there a lot of us? Yes.
Gotcha.
Do we like to argue? Hell yes. We watched War Games last night.
I like that.
Oh, it was so good. It just Matthew Broderick, he's so in it. But we always have to do an autopsy of the movie after we watch the movie, and I think I mentioned that before. And the thing was, did I talk about this? Sorry, I'm on your time, but I was really thrown with. I liked how much action there was because there was no cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
So like you have to have the running up the hill. It can't just be.
Yeah.
I need you to come up here right away, Brenda. Yeah, you actually run up the hill, and I don't know. It's a classic. It held up. It's good.
Yeah.
But you couldn't tell that kind of story now with cell phones.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Very true. Do you want to finish off the outro quickly, Hugh?
Oh, sorry.
No. That's fine. You can find us at all good podcast players, as well as YouTube, X, and Spotify. In all cases, our handle is at Debi Radio on our website, debiradio.com. In all cases, it is spelt DEBI Radio, just like in the movie, just like Debi.
And if you want to talk with us, you can join us on the Facebook listeners group. That's going to stay active even after we finish this podcast, so don't worry about that. And that is Debi Radio 79.5 FM Fan Club.
Sure was clear that all of this was new. Concentrating hard like a little girl, smoking for the first time. It wasn't a moment.